Hello, my name is Clayton Suter. My passion is dissecting music. When I say that, I'm not talking so much like dissecting how it sounds, like different chords and stuff. I'm more talking about like lyrically. So like why the artist is saying what he's saying. So like what life experiences has he had to make him want to write a song about that, or like if there's any deeper meaning to what he's saying. And to build on that, you can do the same thing with like an entire album. I've been doing this sort of thing since like 8th grade. I've thought it's pretty interesting. What kind of led me to do it was Kendrick Lamar. He's very good lyrically, but as well as at the Black Lives Matter marches, they would actually chant one of his songs. And so that made me think about like societal impacts of music, but then they kind of all tied back to like what the music is actually saying, if that makes sense. I primarily do this with rap, just because it's my favorite genre, but I also like to think of it somewhat like poetry. I love the flow, and then even like different rhyming schemes and how people can like pronounce stuff can lead into what they're trying to portray, which I think is really cool. But it's hard to like pass this as a passion, because I think a lot of people, when they think of like a passion, think of a hobby, and hobbies tend to be a lot more physical. But the primarily way I like practice or do this passion, I guess, is by a website called Genius. And so it's a website that has the lyrics but also annotates like each phrase or every couple of words, every sentence, whatever. And it talks about like how this connects or why it's relevant enough for this person to say that. While there are websites that like, try to define the meaning of what's happening in the songs, it's still pretty introspective, kind of opinionated, and I think a lot of that is why it's very interesting to me, because I tend to be pretty introspective, so it kind of goes hand in hand. To further explain kind of the whole idea of what my passion is, because it's not very typical per se, I'll just explain an album that I've done this about. So Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. It came out in around 2015-ish, but it's very much about survivor's guilt, as Kendrick Lamar is from like the LA projects in Compton. What makes it interesting is that Kendrick Lamar is able to portray this kind of feeling throughout the entire album on multiple levels. Part of that is the type of like music he makes. So he raps, but it has a really strong blues, jazz influence that kind of puts the whole album into a different atmosphere. On top of that, what's also impressive is the theme that's built up throughout the entire album. A lot of music today doesn't really have an album that's supposed to be listened to from like the first song to the end song. It's more like just an array of singles. But Kendrick Lamar is a little different from that. This song is all based around a poem that his friend made, and throughout the song there's different allusions to the poem, and each song is like a puzzle piece into this great picture that he's trying to portray. And I think it's really cool to be able to mentally put that together and apply that to what he's like lived through and see how it all functions or become whole. On top of that, that album had a really big societal impact. I just think that music is really powerful in what it's able to do to people, and I think that's why I like music so much, and particularly why I like pursuing this passion.